This is my review of the 3 hydroponic gardens that I have used. You can hear the pump going right now, and the noise is from the water hitting the edge. I took down 2 levels because, as you can see, this irrigation system sometimes shifts, and I have to redo it quite often to make sure that water is being supplied. I want you to note the root system on this. It is not very healthy. The first batch of plants I had, the rooting system wasn't getting enough water that it was starting to smell. So I took care of that problem by adding an air pump that's constantly going. And then I replaced the pump that irrigates the water almost within the first week, because it wasn't the pump that was pictured in the ad on eBay. The pump didn't have suction cups, and it sat on the bottom and rattled like crazy. The reason I bought this was because I thought, well, why not have 80 pods instead of 20 with my Mr. Stacky? So here are the grow lights. I have attached my grow lights to a room divider because the original original glow lights are supposed to go on top. And once it's on top, it gets heavy and it's difficult to manage, and you cannot adjust the distance of the lights. Because I have a small space, I didn't use all of them. So it created quite a big mess on top of the unit because of all the cords. So I can live with the mess on the floor, but even so, it makes it pretty difficult to move the unit around. So as you can see, I've had water drainage all day that I need to clean up. I've already tried to clean it up once, but the water escapes from the pods, and this system doesn't have any way to hold the plants, doesn't have a trellising system, which makes it difficult. So the most important thing for me in buying a system now is the level of noise. The original timer that came with it only turned the pump on 8 times within a 24-hour period. And as a result, I mentioned earlier, the root rot smelled terrible. So I had to start over. And the second time I started over, I just took down 2 levels so it was easier to get at. And so it ends up that I probably have only used about 20 of the pods. So the cleaning of the unit is also very difficult because you basically have to lift the whole thing off and clean it and change the water, because there's actually quite a bit of debris from the root system. And so I've changed the water once, and I have to add water frequently when the leaves are this thick. So you can see here the water is dripping. I don't know if you can see here, and I wanted to do this video again before we do some harvesting. So even though the plants look great and we're going to have a nice harvest, I'm not pleased with it. And here's the red shard, and it is just leaning over. So the second system I bought was the AquaSprout aquaponics, and I have 1 fish in there, and he's a happy little guy. So this one I enjoy having just because it's kind of cute. Having fish providing the nutrients is difficult. I think if you maintain a good aquarium and you can balance the amount of nutrients through the waste products of the fish to give you healthy plants. I wouldn't say that these plants are the healthiest, and they've been all transplanted. The only one that wasn't transplanted was the nasturtium, and you can see that the leaves are very weak, and the mint are just cuttings that I had from the backyard that I put in, and there's a little bit of rosemary in that one corner. This is my Aerogarden Farm Plus, and I have the lights up high because I wanted to be able to take some good pictures of the tomato plants. These tomato plants came from 4 pods. I bought this one initially in August, and the reason I went with the big one was because the small pod, the 6-pod one was so small that I thought, well, that's not going to get me very far, so I returned it. This one was a gift from someone, and so I keep it to get my sprouts and seedlings started. Anyway, I'll show you how quiet the system is. We sleep in this room sometimes, and it's very, very quiet. The pump is running right now, and you can't hear it. And here's the root system. So you can see how robust and healthy these roots are. And the timer for the pump goes on automatically depending on the stage of growth. And so this has been very little work. So why did I get the other one? Because I wanted to be able to plant more stuff or have more available stuff to do. Anyway, these lights are really great because they go up and down like that. So then I started doing micro sprouting a few years ago. I don't know if you can see. So now I just use this micro sprouter to get my seeds going, and sometimes it only takes overnight for the seeds to sprout. Those are some nasturtium seeds that I've kind of given up, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know what those other ones are, but they're tiny, and I will move them into some grow medium and then place them in pods for helping it develop into seedlings. Anyway, so 1, noise. This one is not noisy. 2, it's very easy to clean. I can access the reservoir. It's 2.5 gallons. I can add nutrients and check on that very, very easily. So as I said earlier, these are from 3 or 4 pods, and I separated them out, and I just haven't had the heart, or I didn't have the heart to get rid of them. But in the springtime, if they're still around, I can plant them outside. Anyway, so I was going to see how tall they could grow. So this one plant here is my favorite. It has spread out over here, and the reason I didn't cut it off was because the small Aerogarden also contributes light to it, and it is just growing really steadily. I do trim back this a lot. So I was greedy about how many pods the Martian Tower Garden had, and so I bought that, asking a lot of questions. And if I had to do it over again, I definitely would not buy the Martian Tower Garden. This one is pretty pricey as well, but I wouldn't buy it. I would buy it again because it's electronically very well designed. It's sturdy. Aerogarden gives very good backup. When I had something go wrong, they respond readily. They replaced a few things that broke. If the pods don't germinate, after 2 weeks they will get you another one. So I definitely would buy this again. But the other ones I've looked at are the iHarvest and the Garden. I wouldn't buy the Garden. I don't like things that are related to apps and has a monthly fee, because the Garden is just too difficult to clean. I would buy the iHarvest because the iHarvest is easy to access the reservoir. So I guess the other major thing to look at when you buy one of these is how easy is it to access the reservoir? How easy is it to clean? Because these are not low maintenance items. I didn't mention that when I got the new pump for my Martian Tower Garden, I had to cut open the hole bigger so that I could reach my hand inside to adjust the pump, or when the pump becomes loose. I tried using an irrigation system other than what it came with because it was so noisy, but nothing worked, so I had to go back to the system that it came with. But I would not do it again.